Bureau data reveals that 8% of children born in the United States in 2008 were parented by illegal immigrants. That's 339,760 births. By my calculations, with the average birth costing $13,000, that's $4.5 billion. House Minority Leader John Boehner was quoted as saying that revising or terminating the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause is an idea worth considering, as it may eliminate a major motivation for many immigrants to cross the border unlawfully. Senator Tom Harkin, Democrat from Iowa, said that a change would introduce a dangerous precedent of tying citizenship to political beliefs. Where do you stand on the issue and why?
I agree with John Boehner. I think that birthright citizenship should be on the table. It should be part of an overall effort that we undertake to get a handle on illegal immigration. Your math is good, Carolyn. There are a lot of births in America from illegal aliens. And the 14th Amendment was not created with the idea of protecting illegal aliens. It was passed after the Civil War as a means of assuring that African Americans would be able to be American citizens and vote as everybody else was. There was no illegal immigration problem like there is today at that time. I think that reviewing and possibly limiting birthright is a good idea, but it has to be part of a much larger program. It is not the answer. We have to secure our borders. We have to give the states as much flexibility as we can so that they can administer their share with the federal funding for services that are offered outside of emergency services. So I think that as the next Congress reviews the immigration crisis that we have in this country, including the need to support Arizona with their landmark law, that we will have a policy that will begin the process, at least from the Republican standpoint, of ending the illegal immigration crisis.
Thank you, Charlie. Bob Giuda, you have 1 minute to respond.
Thank you. There's no need to change the 14th Amendment, and I submit that that would probably be impossible to do because the number of other types of constituencies whose rights have been garnered from that amendment would take serious objection. What we need to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to truncate the entitlement programs that award a citizen, young child born of illegal immigrant parents, okay, the rights that flow then to that child's parents, that child's relatives, that child's grandparents. And so by reshaping the entitlement programs with legislation, much simpler and much cleaner than trying to amend the Constitution, we can solve the problem much more quickly, much more effectively, and responsibly, with people who go to Washington understanding what the problem is and how to use the mechanisms of government to solve it.
Thank you, Bob. Jennifer, you have 1 minute.
I'd like to make sure that Ms. Horn's microphone is working. Is her microphone working, gentlemen?
Is there a problem? Oh, there is now. Good Lord. Is it working? We're all set? Okay, there we go.
Right.
It's also my turn, right?
You have 1 minute, Jennifer.
I support considering the idea of possibly changing the 14th Amendment for many of the reasons that have been suggested. It was never intended to create an anchor or roots for people who have come here illegally. The problem with illegal immigration is much bigger even than that, however. We are talking about hundreds of billions of dollars a year being spent in law enforcement, education, health care. I have been to the border of Mexico and Arizona. I did a documentary on that when I was on the radio. The problem is extraordinary. We have to stem the flow. We have to build the fence. We have to increase Border Patrol. We have to go aggressively after those people who are knowingly hiring illegal immigrants and cut off the incentive to be here by fining those businesses. And finally, we have to update our immigration codes so that they meet the needs of our country today. They were written decades ago and no longer address the needs of our country.
Thank you, Jennifer. Wesley, you have 1 minute.
I'm very reluctant to amend the Constitution, though I'm willing to take a careful look at this consideration of this proposal. I want us to make sure that we don't take our eyes off the ball. Changing this amendment at this stage of the game is not going to solve the problem. My brother was a Border Patrol agent on the Arizona border for 5 years. things that he told me that he saw were unbelievable. A large percentage of the people coming across that border were of Arab descent. And I'm not saying all Arabs are terrorists, but I'm telling you that I believe personally this changes the conversation we need to have about illegal immigration. We need to protect our border from those who would do us harm, and we need to take all means necessary to make sure that people that we don't want here don't come in.
Thank you, Wesley. That concludes the second question and